everyone, and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, and we are the TV program that looks after your mental health and well-being. Now, do you feel like you're constantly at work and not finding enough time to spend with the family? Or maybe it's the other way around and you feel like you just need to get out of the house more. Well, whatever your struggles may be, we're here to help you find the right work-life balance for you with our resident family coach, Sharon Lawton. And with the school summer holidays looming, professional declutterer Sally Walford is on hand to give us advice on how to maximise suitcase space. Then of course we have Helena Chard, who'll be giving us all of the week's mental health news in Behind the Fame, and Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering all of your medical questions in Doctor's Answers. We'll also see how Danielle Shine got on when she made chocolate rochers with Amy Levin, and then I'll be giving you my tips on how you can make life a little more fun. Now, according to Trades Union Congress, workers in the UK currently work the longest hours in Europe, taking the shortest lunch breaks and enjoy the fewest public holidays. They also estimate that if all the unpaid overtime worked by the average employee were put together at the start of the year, it would be until mid-February before they were paid. So with all of this time being spent at work and not at home, what effect is this having on you and your relationships with family and friends? Well, before we hear from Sharon Lawton, we checked out Twitter to hear some of your views. Elaine says there is no such thing as work-life balance. Everything worth fighting for unbalances your life. Erlene says, remember, it is not work-life balance, it is life balance. DJ says maintaining a healthy work-life balance often means staying in on Friday nights and washing your face and going to sleep. Jackie says, at work since 8:30, logging back in after a drive home from the office. Go ahead, work-life balance, what you got to say for yourself? Seema says, work-life balance is dying. We have to accept it. And Nicole says, Operation Work-Life Balance in motion. Wish me luck. Well, if you're struggling to find the balance that works for you, then stay tuned, as after the break, we'll be hearing from our family coach, Sharon Lawton. Now, I just wanted to share some viewer comments with you. The food nutritionist commented on my tips about not losing sight of your goals, and she says, thank you, Chrissy B. This came up at the right moment and made me feel so much better. I totally agree. Get organized and it makes you focus on your goal. And Noam Dyer commented on how not to channel your anger. He says, excellent advice, Chrissy. I myself do have a very short fuse and I often do feel angry, but I'm working on that. Anger is indeed unhealthy and has made me suffer the bad consequences in the past. Well, do keep your comments coming in. We do love to hear from you, and you can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. But first, now let's catch up with Helena Chard for this week's Behind the Fame. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thank you, Chrissy. Pleasure
always. So, what's in the news today?
Oh, so many things. So, starting with Shawn Mendes, who's a singer-songwriter, Canadian. Yes. He's 18 years old. He's just brought out a new single called There's Nothing Holding Me Back. And I thought that was just quite an inspirational...
Yes.
You know, nothing holding me. We can, you know, the world's our oyster as such. So I thought I'd start with that. And a certain young guy called Brooklyn Beckham, who's also 18, has doesn't it? It really does. He's just hosted a private view of his new book.
Oh.
So he's just brought out a new book. I didn't know that much about him, but his passion now is photography.
Okay.
And his parents have always said you can do whatever you want as long as you're passionate about it and you really want to go for it. So he's tried football and fashion and various things. I mean, obviously he's very privileged, and he has been lucky to have already done photo shoots for covers of magazines and things, and he's done lots of work experience, but he loves it. And he's got his book out, which was showcased at Christie's nonetheless, so lucky him. What I See, so which is great. And he's actually got a tattoo as well. I should have guessed he's got a tattoo of a camera on his arm.
Oh,
so I think he's got a couple of tattoos already, so give him a few years. So that's really good. And he's also going to be studying in New York, photography in New York, nice. So that's what he's doing. So the world is his oyster, so good for him. Moving on to something Simon Cowell said recently. We need something really positive at the moment. There's a lot of anger, a lot of fear, a lot of pain, and it really does sum up recent things. The Queen also, on the Trooping of the Colour, her official birthday, sort of, has an announcement saying that the world is quite sombre at the moment because of recent events.
Yes, of course.
So it's true, everyone's really sort of shocked and just thinking, goodness, what's going on? But you know, it's real, isn't it?
Yes,
everyone has to live through it and just try their best. He's obviously brought out Artist for Grenfell, so it's in the charts. It went straight to #1. So 50 great artists involved in the song, and it's raised a huge amount of money for charity for Grenfell, obviously people, which is lovely. But I think great as well that Gareth Malone, I love Gareth Malone. Do you know he's a young man that always brings choirs together. It doesn't matter who they are, he always does such a success of them.
Yeah.
So there's people sort of from the local area in it as well, and gospel, and it's a lovely, lovely song. So that's really great. That's a really special thing. And again, here's to creating a happier, healthier and more peaceful world. Something I discovered, which is the world's first museum of happiness in the UK, which is really interesting, isn't it?
We've got to go and visit that.
I think so too. So it's obviously to boost emotional well-being, and health. And happiness is a skill. It's something you can learn. So if you look at it as a science almost, I didn't think about that. So you can actually learn to be happy, which is fun.
Do you know what's in the museum?
Well, they do. I think they've had, what do you call it, pop-ups previously, where they've done different things from yoga, laughing yoga, and really feel-good things just to make everyone feel happy. So there's classes, and now they've got their own proper place, which I think is opening in September. It's in Camden. And I mean, they've raised loads of money. It's in Arlington House, which actually is the homeless hostel in Camden, so there's also a double whammy with it. But I just think it's that whole being, it's just fantastic to make you smile. So good to go and visit that, definitely. Laughing yoga. Have you ever done laughing yoga? No. I haven't either. Apparently you start laughing and it sort of seems a bit strange, and then you're in hysterics. And then obviously you let off all those endorphins, and it's a really good funny. That'd be a good thing to film. I think it would be really good to film. So moving over to TV presenter Ansel McPartlin, who has obviously he's broken down recently in tears and admitted that he needed help, which is really great. So he's got a drink and drugs problem. He's in therapy at the moment, so he's been helped. But for a long time he hid it, and of course he's on the TV all the time, so he's hid it for such a long time. And his best friend Declan Donnelly, he's the one he went to, and he sorted it out straight away. Dec's away on holiday at the moment, but I think they've given him a sabbatical for a year to recover.
Okay, that's good.
And they've worked together for 23 years. Imagine. They've never been apart, so I mean,
that's going to be a big change in itself, isn't it? Yeah.
But I think once he's better, obviously he'll be back on his feet again. So good for him. Moving on to, so why bring your dog to work? I mean, that's recently we've had that, which is really, really
because they pee everywhere.
They do, and I can vouch for that. I've got a little dog called Boo, who's very naughty in that way, and so every day I'm always having to sort him out. But anyway, they are lovely. To have animals when you're working is just wonderful. So a study in 2012, actually, people were saying that it's a great bonus for employee morale, for one. So bosses should be, welcoming loads of pets into the office. And it's stress relief, it's positive, it gets more work done. I mean, all those positive things.
I just don't see it working. Sorry.
Do you not?
Can you imagine? It's going to be mayhem.
Not in every place, obviously.
No, but I mean, it's just too much of a distraction. If one dog in this studio, we would just we just all stopped and we were. It just caused, it was lovely, but it was just very, very distracting.
Oh,
and imagine like a load of.
It was, isn't it? I know, but it's good for blood pressure. Also, it gets people out because they have to walk them, say, when they have a break. So it's all.
Maybe there should just be one office dog that they have in the office, and everyone during their break goes there.
It's funny you should say that, but so Japan is actually using pets in the office to combat workaholics, so to combat their stress.
Oh, okay.
And they allow people to bring their dogs, cats to work, but they also have 2 alpakas for healing on site. This is a certain place in Japan, and they resemble small llamas from Peru, and they actually have them on site, but they even bring goats to work. Now that's a bit of a strange, I know it's a different country.
The goats are terrible, sorry, they just eat everything. Your clothes, everything.
So that really wouldn't work in the office, would it? Anyway, I think that's quite fun.
Bring a goat to work there,
That's quite fun.
It's not going to work.
So lots of other. We've also had Ashley Banjo recently choreographed the real Full Monty, which was on TV, which actually was really good fun and good for the guys that took part in it. And that was to raise awareness for men's testicular cancer. And they did incredibly well because he choreographed it all. He ended up having to be one of the replacements because someone dropped out, and he really had to think hard about it. Because obviously it's about taking clothes off, but it's they did really, really well. The people involved were fabulous. And so moving on to who should we talk about now? We've got Afroz Shah, who's a local beach hero, and he moved to a beach near Versova Beach in Mumbai, and this beach was absolutely full of plastic bottles and mess and dust, and it was dark, but it's black, and the bottles were literally over shoulder high.
Oh my goodness!
So he took it upon himself. He took it upon himself to clear it up, and you know, with help of other people, within 2 years, actually it looks like a beautiful beach now.
Really?
So it's a lot. We had volunteers, 21 months, and he's still planting coconut trees and kind of cleaning up. Isn't that lovely?
That's lovely.
Which is great. And just one quick one.
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts. So which is a very well known. I'm not too keen on donuts, I have to say, but famous restaurant. They're removing artificial flavours and colours from their products.
Finally.
By the end of next year. So natural ingredients only, and we're thankful. And it's taken a bit long, hasn't it? It's been taking a while, but I'm good that it's great they've done it.
Brilliant. Helena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next week.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, no matter what life balance struggles you might be facing, it's important that you still look after your physical and mental health. So we want to see how you find time to take care of yourselves. Let's take a look.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I just try and make sure I go to the gym and do some form of exercise at least 3 times a week, and try not to eat crap all the time.
I exercise regularly, maybe 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
I practice martial arts and I do yoga as well. So yeah, I try to look after myself quite a lot.
I think by making sure I take a bit of time for myself. I'm very good at saying I would like a break, I would like to go and have a long bath, I'd like to go for a walk, I'd like to go and sit and read something, and just making sure that all the priorities we have to juggle day by day don't mean that you push yourself down the list too far. So my favourite way of relaxing, I think, would be to have a bath, to sit and read, not at the same time obviously, to go for a long walk, anything that just puts you in your own headspace and just concentrates your mind on yourself for a while.
We go gym like 5 times a week together.
To do it together as a couple?
Yeah, when she's here, she's visiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And why do you think it's so important to look after your health? Do you want to say something?
You go for it.
I don't know. You look good. You feel good.
Yeah.
You know, like if you work out, you feel better about yourself.
Okay. How about you?
Gain confidence.
Okay.
Just feel better, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been actually training and things?
I don't really know. I mean, I was brought up doing sports, so I've been active for a really long time, I'd say.
And how about nutrition? Do you take care of that as well, or do you mainly just exercise?
We try our best, but we eat whatever we want, and then we just try to work hard at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good tactic.
Various things. I do running, speed walking, and exercising, weightlifting, all that sort of thing.
Excellent. And your mental health?
How do I look after my mental health? Good question. Try to keep happy. That's a bit complicated to say really, but avoid stressful situations where possible, and I do find myself a bit down, maybe do something to distract myself really.
And what things do you do to distract yourself?
Running, exercising again, or focusing on something that's a bit more productive.
Well, thanks very much for all your comments. After the break, we have Family Coach Sharon Lawton, who'll be giving her advice and guidance on how we can achieve the right work-life balance. And we'll see how nutritionist Danielle Shine got on making chocolate rochers with chef Amy Levin. But first, how many working days are lost per year due to work-related stress in Britain? Is it A, 3.4 million, B, 6.4 million, or C, 10.4 million? Tune in after this break to find out. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, your TV programme for all things mental health and well-being. Now, before the break, I asked you how many working days are lost per year due to work-related stress in Britain. Is it A, 3.4 million, B, 6.4 million, or C, 10.4 million? The answer is C, a whopping 10.4 million days. One of the key ways of protecting yourself from too much work-related stress is by finding the right work-life balance. And here to help us do just that is personal development and family coach Sharon Lawton. Welcome back to the show, Sharon.
Hi, Chris.
So obviously a biggie, stress at work, but if we get the work-life balance right, it can be really good for us, for our mental health and well-being. So what do you actually believe is maybe the right balance? How much should we be working and how much should we be doing other things?
It's a really interesting question. Whenever I'm coaching coaching either with families privately, or if I go in and I'm coaching in the corporate sector with working parents, one of the first questions I'll always ask is, what does work-life balance mean to you? Okay. Because it will mean different things to different people for different reasons. So there isn't sort of a right or wrong really, because our perception of work-life balance will be driven by a number of things. It will be driven by, you know, what our values are, what our beliefs are sort of around all of that sort of stuff. Okay. And also our situations are different. So there isn't sort of a one-size-fits-all, I think, where work-life balance is concerned. The other thing to sort of remember is that, in my opinion, it is impossible to have equal amounts of work and life, so, you know, sort of work and personal time.
Okay.
Because if we try to do that, it's an inappropriate expectation, really, and then we end up actually, you know, sort of trying to do all things to all people and not really achieving anything. So it's about sort of finding out what's right for you and asking yourself some really important questions sort of around that. But I think we are now living in a society where we are working more and more and more hours, and we are almost moving towards, well, certainly I'm seeing a lot more of now, is that people are equating their sense of self-worth or their sense of identity with how much they've achieved or not achieved and how busy they are. And of course, you know, if we're only concentrating on that, then we lose sight of the really busy things, really important things in life.
It's actually interesting you're saying that, because I posted on my Instagram just a photo of me in Kew Gardens, actually, you know, really nice backdrop, little waterfall and everything. And I was posting there that there were times when I used to feel really guilty for taking time out for myself, or that I should be working, I should be doing something, I should be making a difference somewhere, and I wasn't taking that time for myself. And though I've gotten past that, and you know, but when I do sort of maybe take some time off for myself to relax, those thoughts, those guilty thoughts still come and say you should be doing something. But then I've learned to kind of just, as I said in the post, just to shoo them away, because I know that I'm important as well. It's not just the work I'm doing or things that I'm doing for other people that's important. I'm important too. And I need that time just to relax and just to rest my mind a bit. And then obviously the things that I do later will be of more benefit. I can do better.
That critical voice, though, can really sort of drive us to be, you know, sort of in places that are not helpful to be, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And what are some of the effects, would you say, that if someone isn't really getting this balance right, what can be some of the consequences?
I think sometimes what we see is that, and some of your viewers might identify with this, and it sort of fits alongside what you were just saying just now, is that when we're at work, we're thinking about being at home. We're feeling guilty for not being there. And then when we're at home, we're thinking about being at work. You know, and then actually we're not productive in either situation. And we're not sort of taking time to live in the moment and be productive in that, you know, enjoy that particular moment. And I think for working parents it can be almost doubly hard, because we can put ridiculous expectations on ourselves, and maybe compromise even more than maybe our colleagues that don't have families. And that sort of compromise might mean that we sacrifice our home life, our family life, for being at work more. That can then lead to resentment and breakdown of sort of relationships at home, maybe with our partners, if they feel that they are taking on more of that sort of extra chores at home, and that's the related stress to do with that. Also, maybe our children, you know, of course, you know, if any of their emotional needs aren't being met to the right degree, and that includes time and attention, then that will often show in a challenging behaviour of some kind. And it seems a bit odd, but if you think about it, if the only way I can get mum or dad's attention is by misbehaving, then I'm going to misbehave, aren't I, to get their attention, because that, you know, because when they're not here, I'm not seeing them, and then they ignore me when I'm at home because they're, you know, trying to do other things or maybe catch up on emails or whatever it is. So I'm going to make myself irritating so they take notice of me. So it's really important, isn't it? You know, as I say, we're shifting that amount of time that we're spending with our families, you know, thinking about work. We're not spending time with them. We don't invest in that time. We feel stressed or we feel guilty. That leads to stress. Then we're less patient. And then that impacts on the family as well, and leaves even more family breakdown. And of course, you know, stress also affects us in our emotional health and our physical health.
Exactly.
So not good all round, really.
Not good, is it? But say if a person is working long hours because, you know, they really, at the moment, they really don't have a choice, and there's bills to pay, there's debts, and they're just trying to work those extra hours just to, you know, even just to make ends meet. What can they do maybe to make time at home with the family, even though they've got such a busy schedule.
Yeah, and it can feel overwhelming, I think. But the good news is that just tiny, small little changes to how we look at time, because everybody has the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. And, you know, a lot of time clients will say to me, well, you know, how come they can manage their time and I can't, you know, and it's all about how we look at time and how we approach time. So small, tiny changes in the way that we look at things, in the way that we manage our time can make a big difference and can put us back in the driving seat, really. Okay. So a couple of things. So, for example, what I would say is that the one thing that we can do, we can't always change the situation. We might have to go and, you know, sort of, as you say, work those amount of hours because that's what we're contracted to do. So we might not be able to change the situation, but we can change how we think about it. And we can be in charge of the promises that we make and the commitments that we make to our families. Okay. And that is something that we can control. So one of the tips that I would say is it's really important for us to nurture ourselves, and we were talking about that just now. Really important. If we don't look after ourselves, then how can we look after our young people and our families? And we need to model. You always hear me say that, you know, we need to be modeling this for our young people. So tiny things like, for example, just looking at some of the things that we do regularly that we can reframe as taking time for ourselves. So, for example, we have to get on the train every day to go to work. So rather than us think, oh, you know, it's just the drudgery sort of tube journey, we might think, okay, for that 15 minutes or that 10 minutes, I'm going to plug myself in. I might listen to a relaxation app, or I might listen to my chilling playlist, or I might do a little bit of reading, and that's my time to recharge my batteries. So that would be a really easy thing to do because you're already doing that. Or, for example, we might stop at Starbucks and grab a coffee. We might think, okay, well, rather than grab and drink it on the run, I might just sit for a couple of minutes and just drink that before I get on the train and come home again. So I've had a chance maybe just to sort of start to process the day. One of the things I talk a lot when I go into companies like Shell UK and Aviva, when I'm coaching their working parents there, is to diary time. So we often will diary important appointments, you know, that might be with clients or, you know, but we need to diary our family time. And that might be as a family or just with our partners. If it's in the diary, we're less likely to push that out of the way because it's there in black and white. We've made a commitment to it, really. So there are two tiny things that we can do, really, just to start to sort of manage things and turn things around. And we have to take responsibility for that because nobody else is going to do that. We really do have to sort of make that difference for ourselves.
Sharon, thank you so much. Brilliant tips as usual.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you again very soon.
Look forward to it, Chris.
Thank you. All right, guys, well, we have been very lucky to team up with nutritionist and friend of the show, Danielle Shine, as she explores some of the most exciting up-and-coming restaurants and eateries in the capital. Here she cooks chocolate rochers with chef Amy Levin. Let's take a look and see how they got on.
Hi, everyone. I'm here today with one of the world's best chocolatiers, Amy Levin. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Amy's going to be teaching me and you how to make something delicious, nutritious, and chocolatey.
We're gonna make some peanut rochers. So they're like, rocher means boulder, so it just looks like a little boulder in the end. You can't maybe visualize it right now, but it's gonna be awesome. So this is raw chocolate that I made myself, but if I was gonna buy chocolate, if I was gonna do it myself at home, I would go out and buy a really nice chocolate bar. Stay away from things like emulsifiers, so that's like soy lecithin, sugars, just try and go with the least amount of ingredients possible, always.
Yes, perfect advice.
Yeah?
So chocolate?
Chocolate, yep. And then we've got peanut butter here. This is a smooth peanut butter. You can use any kind of nut or seed butter that you want. This is effectively a praline, so you can do whatever you want. We're gonna make a peanut one, but you could do almond, you could do like pumpkin seed and sunflower seed. Sesame seed, tahini's lovely. It's also a little bit less expensive too.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we've got honey here. And you can choose to use any kind of liquid sweetener that you want. Alternatively, because your chocolate's already sweetened and we're going to be using it inside, you actually don't need to use any sweetener if you don't want to.
Okay.
And then over here we just have some spices. Cinnamon and vanilla powder here. You could just use vanilla extract if you wanted to, and also you could just omit it completely from the recipe.
But I love that you are using cinnamon because cinnamon is perfect for lowering blood sugar levels. So it's actually one of the greatest things you can have in chocolate, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then just to the side here, we just have some peanut products. And these are just going to be for like texture inside the Rocher, some of it's going to be for a texture outside, and then we were thinking about putting a peanut just in the inside, so it's like a Ferrero Rocher.
Little surprise.
A little surprise.
Great, okay.
Right?
So first things first, we're going to melt down the chocolate.
Melt down the chocolate, we're going to do it over a double boiler, and we're going to show you how we do that.
Right, what's the next step?
So the next step is we're going to put this to the side just a second, and then we've got our peanut butter here. We're just going to put everything that we're going to use into this bowl. So I'll just grab a spoon. Peanut butter goes in.
I love peanut butter. It's such a good protein, and it's filled with potassium.
And then we got our honey here. There's no particular order that you need to do this in, by the way.
Great.
You can just chuck it all together. You can't really mess this up.
Yeah.
And then the spices.
Yeah.
So, got all that stuff mixed through.
Perfect.
And then what the chocolate does is it's going to make it set and make it so that we can kind of handle it too.
Oh, okay. So we're just mixing it straight in.
Straight in.
Ugh.
Literally equal amounts.
Yum. Okay.
Okay. And then we just mix that through.
So we're just slowly kind of mixing it through, and it's all going to mix in well. Okay.
Oh yeah, it mixes
This is
real
a
nice.
fairly simple, easy recipe.
Super simple. It's one of the simplest things that I make. This guy is a bit warm because the chocolate was warm.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the fridge. So just firm it up a little bit so we can work with it.
Ah. Okay, so it should be nice and hard now?
Yeah, it's nice and firm.
Okay,
So it's just that
firm.
you can spoon it like this. All right, so you just take a little piece of it, not too much.
Okay.
Don't roll it too much or it will melt a little bit. So grab your peanut in the middle. That's right.
Cool.
Roll it up.
They look fantastic.
You
Oh my
know?
gosh.
But let's get these all in the fridge.
Yes.
Get them a little bit set up and then we'll dip them in chocolate. So you take the chocolate, you drop it in.
Oh.
Kind of spoon or fork chocolate over it.
Okay.
Pull it out. Let that excess drip off. So then with your other hand, just make a little well, drop it in.
Straight in. So what are some other good coatings we could use? So say I have a nut allergy and I've used pumpkin seed
Yeah.
butter. Could you use ground?
You mean for the outside?
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
outside.
yeah, absolutely. Pumpkin seeds, grind up some pumpkin seeds. Whatever you use, whatever your key ingredient is, your garnish should reflect that. So this is really just a decoration. It makes it look really pretty. It doesn't actually have to be there, but it gives texture and it looks really nice. They just need to go in the fridge for like 5-10 minutes just to set up, just to get a nice little shell on there.
All right.
And then it's
So let's
delightful
do
in
it.
this town. All right, so grab this guy. Give it a little slice.
Ah, and there it is in the middle.
There's the peanut.
Okay, it's time
Do
for
it.
me to
Get
taste
involved.
test this because,
Absolutely.
it's only there.
It's only human, is what it is.
Oh my god,
Delight?
Amy.
Are you just saying that because the cameras are on though?
No, this is amazing. This is truly, I think also because it's super healthy, but it tastes so good, like fresh and better than the store-bought. So, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much to Chef Danielle and Chef Amy. After the break, I'll be joined by Dr. Rob Hicks, who'll be answering all of your medical questions, including this one. Why do I get funny little spots on the back of my arm? I seem to notice them more in the winter and they disappear when I get a tan. Well, tune in after the break to find out. And if you have a medical question, you can email doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Hi, I'm Chrissy B and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now it's time for our weekly Doctor's Answers with our very own Dr. Rob Hicks. And if you have any questions for Rob, please do contact us on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Chris. Hi.
Are you ready to answer some questions?
Always ready.
Alrighty, so we had the question before the break, and it was, why do I get funny little spots on the back of my arm? I seem to notice them more in the winter and they disappear when I get a tan. I thought that was something to do with a nutrition deficiency in something.
It sounds to me like a condition called keratosis pilaris, which is the fancy medical term for goosebumps. Well, chicken. It's like chicken skin is what it looks like, and it feels a bit rough.
Okay.
Why it happens is because you get a build-up of protein, something called keratin, a protein in the hair follicles, and that causes the hair follicles to become blocked, and you get these raised bumps on the arms, and you can get them on the legs and elsewhere on the body as well. And they feel like sandpaper if you rub your hands over them, and it looks like you've got permanent goosebumps, or it looks like the chicken skin, as I mentioned earlier. It's not dangerous, it's not contagious. There's no real way of curing it. It often gets better in the warmer weather. They can become a little bit irritated if you scratch them or if they're rubbing on clothing. But one of the best ways to try and get rid of them is to use a soap-free cleanser, to use a moisturiser on a regular basis on that area of skin affected, and very gently exfoliate the skin. And that should sort it out. As people get older, actually, it tends to disappear. If it is causing you any problems, obviously have it checked out by your doctor, and indeed get it checked out if it gets red or inflamed or starts to hurt, or if you're just worried that it may not be this condition. But generally, if it is keratosis pilaris, it's not dangerous, it's not harmful, and often it disappears on its own.
Okay, next question, Rob. What causes your elbows to break out in a rash? I'm a healthy 28-year-old guy, and I just noticed a really prominent rash on the outside of both elbows. The bumps are pretty large and spread out, and they're not painful unless I press them hard.
Well, the best thing for this really is to have a checkup with a doctor to see it, because with rashes, they're best seen. What it sounds like to me is it could be psoriasis. Which is a condition where, for some unknown reason, the immune system in the body triggers the replication of cells far more quickly than it normally would. So in psoriasis, basically, without psoriasis, the skin cells get replaced over about 28 days. With psoriasis, this happens over a case of 3 or 4 days. So you get a build-up of immature cells on the skin, and that causes the red, raised, flaky patches of skin, often that look a bit silvery in the light, and they can be uncomfortable and they can itch. It's not something that you've done wrong. Around about 1 in 50 people have this condition. It's not contagious, but it can be treated with creams, and when it's more severe, you might use hospital-based UV therapy. The other thing, of course, is some people become very self-conscious about their skin, so counselling is sometimes offered. But the first thing to do is get it checked by your doctor to make sure it is psoriasis, because it could be something simple as the fact that you rest your elbows on your desk when you're working, and you're getting some irritation from the desk on the elbows, and that's causing it to flare up. But whatever you do, moisturise the skin as often as you can, because that will help the skin no matter what the condition is.
Right, next question. What could cause my index finger to ache? I work in an office constantly typing and using a mouse, so I think that might have something to do with it. I hope it's not arthritis.
It doesn't sound to me like arthritis. I mean, it could be, but I think the clues there is I work in an office, I'm using a computer and a keyboard, and I'm using my finger on the mouse, and I think you probably know what the condition is. It sounds like repetitive strain injury, and a common problem. It affects the fingers, the hands, the wrists, the rest of the arms, and it occurs when people are doing, as the name of the condition says, repetitive movements over and over and over and over without taking breaks. I mean, it is important to get this checked out with your doctor, particularly if you've got other symptoms like numbness or tingling or symptoms elsewhere in the body. But it sounds very much like RSI. Now, the way to overcome this and to stop it from getting worse is to think about doing the actions that you are doing on a regular, repeated basis, or the activities in a different way. Now, that's not always easy with a computer, but it might mean that you get a computer with a trackpad rather than using the mouse, for example, because it's your index finger that's affected. Make sure that your workstation is set up properly. So have an assessment with your employer to make sure that's as it should be. Take regular breaks, and make sure you take time out to relax and unwind as well. What I've said in the past with people is get a sponge ball and do some exercises just to warm up the fingers and the hands before you start using your keyboard. Because if you think about it, using a keyboard is just like going to the gym and doing a workout.
Okay.
But it's for these, for the fingers and the hands. And the way to treat the symptoms, well, of course, you modify the activity. It might mean that you have to stop doing the activity for a while. You can use painkillers and anti-inflammatories. You can use hot and cold packs. You may be advised to have a splint or an elastic compression bandage, or indeed to have some physiotherapy to teach you about posture, because that's very important as well. So prevention, we talk about posture, workstation setup, regular breaks, and time out to relax for RSI.
Brilliant. Next question. This one I find really interesting. I'm pregnant and was wondering if wearing tight clothes will affect my baby in any way.
Simple answer, no. Okay. Baby is very well protected in the womb. Baby is floating in a whole pool full of fluid, the amniotic fluid. Yeah. So baby's very protected. Okay. Tight clothing may upset you though. As you get bigger, it may make indigestion and heartburn more likely because of the pressure of tight clothing on your belly, and indeed pressure on your lungs. So it may make breathing uncomfortable for you as well. So that's why maternity wear is so popular in pregnancy. It's comfortable, it's loose, it's often more baggy than usual clothing. But no, your baby will not be harmed by wearing tight clothing.
Okay. Next question. Why do we have bad breath? I know mine can smell really bad sometimes, but I brush my teeth twice a day as I should.
Very common problem, this, actually, bad breath. I mean, medically it's called halitosis. Around about 1 in 4 people will suffer with the condition at some point. I'm really glad that the person's asked the question, because this is a problem which people often live with.
And don't talk about
it because they're embarrassed about it. What causes it, generally speaking, it's down to actually inadequate dental hygiene. So, not brushing your teeth correctly or enough, not flossing, or indeed sometimes not scraping your tongue, because they get a build-up at the back of the tongue, and that's responsible for the bad breath. Gum disease is another reason for bad breath, which is why it's important to have a regular checkup with your dentist. From a sort of medical point of view, it could be the side effect of medications. It could be medical conditions like sinusitis or reflux, acid reflux, that contribute into bad breath. Sometimes it's simply down to smoking, alcohol or spicy foods, or foods like garlic or onions that are responsible. But the key way to treat this, I would suggest having a checkup with your doctor, or ideally your dentist initially, is to make sure that you brush, floss and scrape your tongue, and indeed that you have a look at the information leaflet of any medications you might be taking to see whether bad breath is a contributing factor.
Right, next question, Rob. This person's asking, can I sleep with my contact lenses in?
Simple answer to that is no, unless the person who is providing the contact lenses, the optometrist or the eye doctor, says it's okay to. If you have a look at the contact lens information leaflet, it will usually say, do not sleep with your contact lenses in.
Okay, all right. So don't do it. Yeah. Right, okay. And last question for today, Rob. Is it possible to reverse a vasectomy, and if so, how successful is it?
Okay, the answer to this is yes, it is possible, but it's complicated, and it's often not successful, which is why when a man has a vasectomy, he will be asked the question, do you ever want to father children again in the future? Because when we do, when sterilisation, vasectomy for men, sterilisation for women is provided, it is really under the premise that somebody doesn't want to have children anymore.
So you have to be really sure.
You have to be really sure. Now there are times, of course, when for different reasons where a reversal is needed. When that is the case, how successful it is really depends on the type of vasectomy that was performed, the technique, but also how long ago it was performed, because the longer ago it was performed, as the time goes by, the more scar tissue there is likely to be, which makes it harder to reverse. So as a rough estimate, if it was performed within the last 3 years, the estimate is about a 75% chance of it being successful. And then the longer that gets, so for example, if it's 9 years or more, the current figures suggest it's less than 40% successful. So I hope that answers your question.
I have a question on the back of that, Rob, as well. Is that something that has to be done privately if the person wants to do that?
That's a very good question. Sometimes, not often, sometimes it's available on the NHS, but more often than not, it's something that has to be done privately.
Okay, brilliant. Rob, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next week.
Yes, you will.
Thank you. And guys, don't forget that if you would like to ask Dr. Rob Hicks a question, all you need to do is email doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Well, after the break, we have professional declutterer Sally Walford, who gives some tips on how to declutter your suitcase and travel lighter. And I'll be giving you my tips on how to make life more fun. But first, how many pieces of luggage were mishandled in 2015? Was it A, 23 million, B, 43 million, or C, 63 million? Tune in after the break to find out. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we've been talking all about work-life balance. Now, before the break, I asked you how many pieces of luggage were mishandled in 2015. Is it A, 23 million, B, 43 million, or C, 63 million? The answer is A, 23 million items. Well, holidays are supposed to be times of relaxation, joy and happiness, but for many, the stress begins before you even leave the front door, as you're faced with the monumental task of cramming all your beloved belongings into an unforgiving suitcase. Well, here to help us bring the joy back to packing is professional declutterer and Chrissy B Show regular Sally Walford. Welcome back to the show, Sally.
Hi, Chrissy. Thanks. Great to be back.
We're going on holiday, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Very soon. Okay, so just before you show us sort of how to pack and how to make things a bit easier, there's always this thing of like how many items of clothing should one take on holiday. What would you recommend?
Okay, so I don't know anybody that's been on holiday and has worn every single item. So you tend to actually only wear a third of what you take. So that's quite a big percentage, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I recommend that the first thing you should do is to get everything out on your bed that you would like to take on holiday.
Yeah.
Go and have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of a rest and then go back to it and then declutter again and really start to pick out things that you can utilise in lots of different ways.
Okay.
So we're kind of capsule wardrobing, really,
okay.
and that will then reduce the amount of stuff that you need to take.
Okay.
So I've got a few more little top tips on how to.
So we've got our suitcase ready.
Got our suitcase completely empty.
Yeah.
So, for example, as I was talking about, the capsule wardrobe, a pair of shorts. There we go. So you can use these in the daytime, and you can also dress them up in the evening. So daytime, you can be wearing with a pair of flip-flops, okay, and then utilise that same pair of shorts for the evening wear, sparkly top, and your wedges. Okay, so as you can see, I've now got 2 pairs of shoes. Yeah, so only 2 pairs of shoes. Everybody seems to pack quite a lot of shoes.
It's true, it's true.
But at the end of the day, you're kind of just sort of like going around in the daytime with your flip-flops on, and you might only have 2 pairs of shoes that you use of an evening. So as we put those in, let's pack those right in the corners of your suitcases. There we go.
My mum used to stuff shoes with socks and things.
That's a really good way of utilising your space as well. So, and flip-flops, obviously, they're fantastic. You can just put them right up against the side of the suitcase.
Okay.
Now, the best way to pack a suitcase as well is to roll your items. Okay. So not only does this, save on space, as you can see. There we go. Already, you've just got loads more space than you probably would have if you'd just been folding them like you would, to put them away.
And they don't crease so much, do they?
Well, this is it, So, if you've got lovely dresses or things like that that you would like to take with you.
That's pretty.
Again, this is not going to crease as much if you're rolling it. And if you have something that's in particularly delicate fabric, you can also put tissue paper inside.
Okay.
That'll help it stop creasing.
Yeah.
Even more. So there we go. I think I've probably got about 5 outfits out of that already.
There we go, with 3 items. Yeah.
So, and the other thing is towels. I think towels, people always call wherever you're going to find out if they provide beach towels, pool towels. And if not, why not utilise a sarong instead of a towel? That's going to make you travel lighter. And again, we can really roll that up.
Yeah, you can lay on a sarong. Definitely.
Yeah, you can lay on a sarong on a sunbed.
That's such a good idea, Sally. Wow. Okay.
There we go.
I am one that I do take towels because I don't like to use like hotel. I know it's just a thing with me.
Yeah.
It's hotel stuff.
I don't know, I get that, but also, you know, if you're really sort of short on space, or you'll get maybe just going for a short weekend or something like that.
True.
Try and cut down on the things that you know are going to bulk out your suitcase a lot.
Okay.
So the other thing, I mean, these are fantastic. These decanters. Have you seen these? Now you can get all different kinds of these. These ones are particularly great because they sucker against the bathroom tiles, so you can utilise them. But you don't need to take quite so many products with you. It might be cheaper to buy them out there, or also why not decant and put in there. And just talking about toiletries as well, I always reduce my makeup bag to this size.
Really? Wow.
Yes. It's important because you don't wear the same makeup as you do when, you know, you're on holiday.
Yeah.
What you do tend to wear more of is your sun cream.
Yes.
So really you can take your lip balm and your mascara and maybe your blusher.
Yeah.
And then, you know, utilise the rest of the space for the times that you've had all those little samples.
Yes.
You know, little samples that you get free.
It's true, and they're just stuck there in the bathroom cabinet and you're not using them. Yeah.
Exactly, and now is a great time to utilise them. And also, let's not forget, don't put them in your hand luggage. You know, so you can just quite easily pack all those away. There we go. Okay. So, as you can see, we've already got a half-empty case, which is great news for me. So, beach bags. Why not utilise your beach bag as your on-flight bag, or the bag that you're going to pack a few bits and bobs in?
Okay, good idea.
It's the same thing as well with what you're actually wearing.
Yeah.
So if you are going to the airport, for example, always layer up your clothes, because you can utilise what I've got on, little cardigan for those chilly nights. T-shirt, wearing the day, jeans that can be dressed up. So think about your travelling outfit as well, and your beach pool bag.
I'm grinning because I won't say who it is, but I know someone that wore 3 pairs of knickers to come to the UK because she was trying to save space. For the first time, she decided not to take luggage. She just went with her hand luggage, so she tried to put as many things on as possible. That's an idea, isn't it? If you want to
That's taking layering to another level, isn't it?
I won't say who it was. I won't say, guys. But that's a really good idea, that one, because then obviously a bag like that to pack is quite big to put in a suitcase.
Yeah, exactly. And the one last top tip as well is hair dryers. A lot of people take these and they don't actually need them. Yeah. So again, always check wherever you're going what they provide. And I think as well that's going to save you on space. But also if you pack like this, you're going to have plenty of space to put your hair dryer in.
And you've got space to bring gifts and things back with you.
Gifts and things, but just be careful. Always apply that 1 in, 1 out rule.
Yes.
So if you're going to buy yourself that summery dress, when you get back home, let's give that to charity or give it to somebody that's going to use it. So, and don't get too carried away with all the, little bits and bobs that you can buy on holiday.
Okay. Sally, I do love having you on because since the first day that you came and joined us on the programme, I have actually been applying your tips. And I thought I was quite good at sort of decluttering and stuff, but I've learned so much from you. And even I recently, remember I told you I went through my photos and everything.
Yeah.
And stuff. So now I've just condensed it to just like a little pile like that. I've scanned the rest, my hubby scanned the rest, so we're going to get rid of those. And then I'm just going to buy myself a little album just to keep one small one just to go through. So it really makes a difference, and that kind of inspires you to do something else and then something else after that. And I'm just a bit addicted to decluttering now.
Oh, that's fantastic news for me, Chrissy. Great.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you again very soon.
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, so Richard Branson has been quoted as saying, if you find time for fun in your everyday life, you will be rewarded every day. So with this in mind, here are my tips for making life a little more exciting. Well, guys, let's get straight to these tips. My first point is to pick up a new hobby. So I recently interviewed someone who actually got really depressed, and what was interesting was that something that helped her recover was to start doing a hobby that she really enjoyed. And she actually said herself that one of the reasons she probably got depressed in the first place was because she wasn't actually making time to do the things that she enjoyed. So please don't underestimate the positive impact that making some time to do what you enjoy can actually have on you. And some people can make careers of doing what they love, and that's amazing if you can do that, but it's not always possible because because not everything is actually going to make you money, but at least in your spare time, do something. And then, you know, one hobby can probably lead to the other, and it also helps you to meet new people. So do make sure, even if it's just like maybe half an hour of doing something that you love every day, is going to have a very positive impact and make your life more exciting. The second point is to learn something new. So why not actually learn a new skill? So it could be something like a language course, it could be a cooking class, absolutely anything. And there are lots of free courses around, and you can even obviously learn something new online. There's so many YouTube videos out there now to teach you things. So you don't even have to leave your house if you don't want to. And actually learning something new will help you feel a sense of achievement, and you actually feel quite proud of yourself. The third point is to consider changing your job. Now, we did cover some points about this recently, that if you are finding that your job is maybe boring, and you know, you've spoken to your manager and you feel like you've kind of reached maybe the highest level that you can reach, or maybe the responsibilities aren't so exciting anymore, do consider actually making a change, going for it and doing something completely new. It could really help you. My fourth point is to consider going traveling. So obviously this does depend on your budget, and you know, if you can afford it, you can go to a new country. But if your budget doesn't actually allow that, even just visiting a new city can be something different and something exciting. And if you can't even afford a new city, why not just go somewhere different within your own city? And you know, there's so many different things that you can do. Even if you just go to maybe a new restaurant, that could kind of make things a bit more fun for you. And I'll give you an example. The other day, my hubby said to me, why don't we go, I normally like to go to restaurants and sit down properly and have a proper meal. And he said to me, why don't we just go to Borough Market and just get something from one of the stores and sit down on one of the benches and eat? And I was like, I don't really feel like doing that. I want to sit in a restaurant. And he said, oh, come on, it's something different. It's good for our mental health and well-being. So I thought, okay, he kind of uses that sometimes because I'm on the show all the time. And I thought, I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I'll just, you know, try it. And in the end, I really enjoyed it. It was something different. Okay, I didn't have the comfort of a restaurant. We were sitting on benches, but it was fun. It was different. We had a good chat. So for me, that kind of made, you know, that small change to what we normally do did make life a little bit more exciting. So just try something different. And the last point that I'm going to talk about is to make new friends. Now, this is something else that I spoke about quite recently. There are times when we actually outgrow our friends. And I'm not saying this to kind of for you to get rid of all your friends, but see, if you're still meeting up from, you know, friends from way back, but you don't have anything in common, or they're not on the same level as you in terms of their goals and things like that. And, you know, it's kind of strained. It's so good to actually meet new people and make new friends. Sometimes I think we just stick with people because we have done, and it's just the in thing to do and to keep in touch with people for years and years. But if there really isn't any point and you're not really getting along that well anymore, what's the point of staying friends? So, and obviously, you know, you do want to keep old friends, but if you don't want to sort of get rid of old friends, why don't you just consider making some new friends as well to add to your life? And that does actually, you know, open your mind to new things and new experiences, and they'll take you places where you haven't been before. It just kind of brings different things into your life. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but don't forget, if you have something that you would like to share on this show, maybe you have an interesting story that, you know, something that you've been through and has impacted your life, do get in touch with us, especially if you feel that your story can actually inspire others. Our email address is info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Till next time, bye-bye for now.
That was great. I loved it. Thank you.
I've got an Allen key here as well. I don't know why I forgot that.
Okay, you need to declutter that.
Yeah.
We'll also see how Danielle Shine got on when she made chocolate rochers with Amy. Don't forget to post on Instagram. And post your dog as well. I want to see your dog. Didn't even know you had a dog.